Every enterprise is rushing to deploy AI, but most do so by pouring their proprietary data directly into opaque third-party chatbots. When you rent a generic brain, you cannot trace how it makes decisions. That lack of transparency creates hallucination, where the model invents facts, context collusion, where internal documents leak into external answers, and a complete loss of your specific brand voice. In the consumer market, an AI tool that just works is a feature. In an enterprise environment, a tool that works without letting you inspect its internal logic is an active liability. You cannot audit it, and you cannot safely integrate it into your operations. Managing enterprise risk requires a technical standard that black boxes cannot meet: the ability to audit every logic gate and verify every retrieval source before it reaches an end user. The GestaltView Agent Trainer exists to solve this exact problem. It replaces the closed chatbot model with an inspectable, configurable architecture. This diagram illustrates a series operating studio. Instead of feeding data into a black box, raw information flows into an open, white-label control plane, where every retrieval rule and routing constraint is visible and editable by your team. GestaltView provides the codebase and deployment posture required to house a proprietary intelligence layer within an organization's own stack. The process begins with ingestion. You drop in your unstructured corporate documents, README files, API specifications, and product roadmap data. To prevent confusing corporate information, the data stream is immediately routed into 4 strict training lanes: knowledge, code, product, and context. The code and knowledge pathways act as hard grounding, anchoring logic in runbooks and APIs, ensuring the system never guesses an endpoint. Context pollution happens when an AI reads an internal engineering debate and uses it to answer a public roadmap question. By isolating the product and context data into their own lanes, the system ensures your technical implementation details never leak into a customer-facing marketing response. This rigorous ingestion process produces an agent grounded in fact, capable of navigating complex internal documents without the risk of hallucinating a policy. Beyond understanding data, an agent needs to sound like your organization. The challenge is tuning that exact voice without exposing the fragile, raw system prompts that govern its behavior. GestaltView solves this with the Preferred Language Kit, or PLK. It acts as a secure, dedicated layer where you define vocabulary profiles and tone boundaries, keeping the underlying prompts entirely untouched. This interface shows how you apply those boundaries using trainer personas. Profiles like the System Weaver, the Treasurer, and the Vibe Check impose highly specific operational voices onto the data, filtering out generic AI speak. Integrating the PLK with persona boundaries ensures the system adheres to your unique terminology and brand constraints, even when the underlying data is operationally dense. With the knowledge structured and the voice defined, the system has to process actual, real-time user queries against all that data. An incoming request hits the shared logic layer, where the LLM router dynamically cascades the query to the optimal AI provider. Before leaving the router, the system gathers relevant knowledge chunks and physically attaches constitutional invariance directly to the payload. Because every single request routes through this exact same shared architecture, the agent's behavior is predictably consistent, whether interacting via the API, the client interface, or inside the trainer environment. The intelligence is now trained, bounded, and verified. The final step is moving it out of the internal lab and deploying it into the market. This transition is handled by the GestaltView Agent Training Engine, or GATE. It acts as the commercial bridge and package builder. This checkout interface demonstrates how GATE takes that finely tuned internal agent and compiles it into a discrete, commercially viable package, complete with Stripe integration for immediate checkout. The ultimate value here is the ability to instantly package that customized intelligence for rapid, structured market distribution. When you reach the GATE checkout surface, you face 2 distinct commercial deployment pathways. The first is the hosted runtime. This is a managed subscription lane designed for lean teams. You supply the corpus and the training direction, and GestaltView handles the active infrastructure. The second path on this comparison chart is the owned zip package. This is a fully assembled, self-hosted deliverable built for buyers who require absolute technical control over their software. With the Owned package, you can completely white-label the aesthetic and deploy the entire runtime securely behind your own corporate firewalls, ensuring your sensitive data stays on your servers. You no longer have to lease a generic model and hope it understands your business. With GestaltView, you own a fully transparent, perfectly aligned intelligence infrastructure.